Jag from Jaggy Sports. It is March 16th, 2022. I woke up this morning and I was like, am I reading this correctly? Tom Thibodeau is returning as head freaking coach for the Knicks next year. And I kind of I was like blown away. Knicks didn't do too well last season, or last postseason. They only won one game. They did do well, but they only won one game. They were like fourth seed, I think it was. But this season, not so much. I'll get into that in a minute. But I had to call my buddy, or I had to text my buddy, and I said, basically, what the hell's going on? And he goes, I got to remind you that Tom Thibodeau's former agent was Leon Rose. Where's Leon Rose now? Well, he is the president of the New York Knicks. So, coincidence? I think not.
I'm in this place now, and this is what I deal with Knicks fans too, where the good news is that for 7 straight games they would lose, but they would be up by double figures and find a way to lose. Now all of a sudden for 3 straight games they go up by double figures and they stay where they are and they win these games. They're still 3.5 games out of a play-in spot. Jeff Van Gundy told us a couple of weeks ago, it's not for in his mind. He thinks it's not a great thing. It's a bad thing if the Knicks make the play-in because they need to see how far away they are. Do you subscribe to that kind of thinking?
Well, I mean, a couple of things. You know, I'm watching the Dallas game last night. The one thing I think we can all take away from this is that this team hasn't quit on Tibbs. I think, and that's kind of, you know, we'll probably hear about his job security at the end of the season here, but I think this team is still playing for him. I think that there's a body of work there here. I think it's a fine line you walk on. You know, there are nights maybe that Clipper game or if it's the Phoenix game where, yeah, you're playing you're put in situations where you have to play your young players here, and I think there's certainly situations with Julius playing at a high level and last night in Dallas where you do want to see, because let's face it, you're auditioning them probably for another team and when you get into the off season. And I don't think they're going to make the play-in. I really don't. I think there's, you know, unless you catch Charlotte, I think Atlanta will probably string along in some games here. And I always said, like, the one thing you always want to do is, you know, towards the end, you don't want to play out the string. You want to put guys in positions when either you're playing winning basketball games or you're playing close games. It helps for R.J. Barrett. It helps, you know, if we see Cam Reddish, Jericho Sims, Emmanuel Quickly, guys like that. So, and I think it helps the coach. I mean, if anything, if you're the front office and you're basically just playing out the rest of the season, then you're probably thinking that these guys that Tibbs has lost these guys here. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a fine line to do it and still not get in the play-in and get enough out of it for what's going to be left on your roster next year.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. If they were an older team, different, like if it's the Lakers, it's a much different feel. But because a lot of the characters that are going through this and learning how to win are 23, 22, 21 years old, there is obviously Julius Randle, Alec Burks, the older players that are also a big part of this. But because these younger guys are going through this, that part's important. But, yeah, we'll have a lot to talk about in the offseason with this franchise. You know that better than I do.
Well, we would describe this one as practically unimaginable. The New York Knicks blowing a 28-point lead, their largest in a loss over the last 30 years. They have now lost 3 games after leading by at least 20 points in the month of February alone. The first team to do that in a calendar month in the last 25 years. And for immediate reaction, we turn our attention to our friend Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A., your thoughts?
You know, I got a good friend that's a Knicks fan that just sent me a text message. You know what he said to me?
What was it?
He said he praises the Lord, he tithes, he prays every day, he mentors kids. We as Knicks fans deserve better than this. And he's absolutely right. The New York Knicks are a national disgrace, ladies and gentlemen. They're horrible. Tibbs, we're hearing that the New York Knicks as an organization ain't too fond of him these days. He might be out. I don't give a damn if he was going tonight. Julius Randle, I'm done with him. Leon Rose, I mean, we got inmates in state penitentiaries more visible than this man. He's the president of basketball operations. We can't find this man. They are trash. Horrible. No KD, no Kyrie, no Ben Simmons, and you lose a 28-point lead courtesy of a rookie by the name of Cam Thomas, who's decent, probably good. 16 points in the fourth quarter. The New York Knicks are trash. Spike Lee shouldn't even show up for the rest of the season. Tracy Morgan, don't go. Don't go. Nobody goes. You're horrible. I'm so done with this team. You just stink. All the excuses. Brooke, I am officially embarrassed that there is video out of me last year talking about New York stand-up. Well, I am embarrassed. I'm not finished, Jalen. I mean, this is a disgrace. I owe Jay Williams a Tom Ford suit. I owe Wilbon dinner, whatever restaurant he wants. God knows what pair of sneakers Jalen gonna come up with for me to buy. What the hell you want, Greedy? I mean, I ain't got a choice. I mean, it's just horrible. Horrible. I'm done. I wish Knicks fans boycott this team. I'm just sick of it. You lose to the Oklahoma City Thunder in double overtime. You giving up 20-point leads like it's going out of style. And then tonight, with KD and Ben Simmons in street clothes, doing number high-fiving cats. This team, led by a rookie named Cam Thomas, comes back on y'all and erases a 28-point. I am done. I don't want to go to the Garden. I don't even want to drive by the Garden. I'm sick of this team. I'm done. Just done.
No bing bong?
Quick thoughts over here. No bing bong. No bing bong tonight? Why are you hurting this poor man's feelings?
Well, earlier in the year, he was trying to get all of the Knicks fans together that he just named to do an interview to celebrate this same team.
They were celebrating.
So let's not kick the man when he's down. Let's do a little legitimate analysis if we can. You turned to me and you said, this is the kind of week that gets a coach fired.
Yeah. And he was teasing me at halftime because I never get on Tibbs. I believe in what Tibbs does, city to city, whether he's an assistant or a head coach like he was in Chicago when he's been in New York. But when you have a week like this, 2 weeks, I sat here and I taunted Stephen A. I wasn't trying to taunt. We had the Lakers on a Saturday night a while ago. They're up by 20, and I go, the game's over, Stephen A. Stop being dramatic, the game's over. And he said, what'd you say?
It ain't over. There's still a half to go.
But this one is the worst.
This was worse than that.
This is unimaginable.
This was worse than the Lakers game.
This was an unimaginable loss. Portland was a bad loss to OKC. How does it happen?
What makes this worse for your Knicks is that the people that we were celebrating are the people that we're now blaming. Tibbs, you can't lose 3 games out of 7.
Like this.
By having a 20-point lead.
Right.
You should be able to put the bottom of your bench in, Greeny. I am not exaggerating, and win. There's still going to be people talk about the 3-point shot, talk about the pace of the game. You get up 28, Stephen A., you should be upset at your squad the way they lost. The next thing, Julius Randle, the most improved player, when they show this highlight, they're going to show at the end of the game, they were getting out-hustled for offensive rebound. Julius Randle was on the baseline, didn't box out twice. Bruce Brown out-hustled him to the ball. So when that happens, when your two faces that were figureheads last year are now the ones that seem to be doing the thumbs down to the fans, you ain't gonna have to worry about them next year, in my opinion, because they're gonna be just as upset upstairs as you are watching this.
First of all, that's one of my problems. Dolan will still let it slide because he's horrible as an owner. I mean, the fact of the matter is it's not an accident that the New York Knicks nosedive into purgatory and irrelevancy began with his arrival as the chairman of this team. That's number one. Number two, Leon Rose. I meant what I said. I ain't exaggerating. You got inmates at state penitentiaries more visible than Leon Rose. I can't see the man, can't find the man, can't see a quote from him. I'm looking at the papers or whatever. Listen, I'm not an advocate of firing Tibbs because I think Tibbs can coach and he's done.
This week, though.
And he's done a lot with a suspect roster, but at the end of the day, they don't seem on the same page, which is why we had Jalen Rose yelling free Cam Reddish, and it was trending worldwide over damn Twitter. Because how do you acquire this man and then you don't play him? Well, that's ownership. That's management not being on the same page as the head coach. And then last year, we go from this with hope to this nonsense. The New York Knicks have literally returned to what they were before Leon Rose and West and everybody arrived. This is garbage. Straight garbage.
So basically, Tom Thibodeau. Leon Rose trades for Cam Reddish. And what do? You sit him on the bench and you don't play him. You're starting to play him a little bit now, but now it's kind of too late, man. Like, you're like, what, 11th seed, 10th seed? It's mind-boggling. They're not even in the play-in tournament. You have to start fresh next year. You have to start actually trading a major piece, aka Julius Randle. You have to trade him. What he did on January 7th, piss off the Knicks fans by by giving them the thumbs down and telling them to shut the F up. Like, you don't do that. I know he apologized for it, but still, he played like crap. His last 3 games, he played okay. He played pretty well, but prior to that, he played like crap. You got to trade him. And quite frankly, I'll be on record that saying the solution to the Knicks and the Knicks organization and to get the fans behind them is Zion Williamson. But I think Zion might have a change of heart. I'm not 100% sure because of what's going on in the New Orleans organization. They're doing fairly well. They actually had the guts to pull off a major trade, as in CJ McCollum. It's pretty phenomenal what from what New Orleans is doing. But back to the original thing, Tom Thibodeau needs to go. Like, he has to go. I said yesterday, Frank Vogel has to go. Tom Thibodeau has to go. I don't understand why these guys don't get the major picture. Their style is not working for that team. I get it. They're excellent coaches, but they are not working for the New York Knicks. That style of coaching that Tom Thibodeau is doing is not working for the Knicks. You know what I mean? Like, I can't put it all on Tom Thibodeau. There has to be some accountability for the roster. Has to be some accountability for the organization. But you have to admit, when you bench a guy that you just traded for in Cam Reddish, who's supposed to be a very good player, you bench him. That speaks volumes. So, let me know what you guys think. Are you guys fans of Tom Thibodeau returning as head coach next year for the New York Knicks? This is Jag from Jaggy Sports.